Hi guys, Geoffrey here. And before I begin this video with Luke Phillips, I wanted to remind you again that this video right here is round 2 or interview number 2 with Luke. So if you remember, about 6 months ago, we published an interview with Luke where we talked about his journey when he was in the middle of reconciling. So if you remember in the initial interview, he hasn't reconciled yet, but what we were talking about was basically the process that he was following. And the reason why I do this also is because, you know, every single year we enroll 1,500 clients every single year. And all of those clients wait till the very, very dire moments, till things are very, very bad before they come to me for help. And I have such confidence in my processes, in the things that my clients are learning, that I know if I see someone following the processes to the T, they will get the results. It's a matter of time. And the reason why I have these 2-part interviews like this is because I want to show you just how confident I am in my processes and how confident my clients are in their processes as well. And trust me, guys, I know what a lot of you are thinking right now. Oh, this might work for Luke, but it doesn't work when I'm in my situation, when I'm in my dire situation, for my special situation. Again, guys, we enroll 1,500 people every single year. And all of those people wait till things are very dire before coming to me for help. And if you watch a lot of my testimonials and everything like that, you'll see that we drown in success. So for you to think that your situation is somehow the most unique, the most different, is a bit naive. So here's Luke. So Luke joined the program here, you can see on October 19th, 2021. And you can see here, if I just scroll all the way down to the beginning of his journey, you can see all the work that Luke has done to follow the process, to really master this processes too. There's a lot of posts here from the very beginning. Yeah. So here's where we end up. On May 8th, this is 2022 at 6:15 p.m. Central Time. He made a post that says, I just wanted to take the time to thank Geoffrey for all his hard work in creating what has been the best thing I've ever done. Not only have I reconciled with my wife to be, so they're getting married now, but it's changed my whole perception on life and how to better interact and understand others with ease. And this is what I think a lot of people miss, in that this is not just about reconciling. This is about learning the skills to really up every relationship that you have in your life. I've grown so much in the past 6 months that I see no obstacle impossible. I relish conflict as a test to my newfound ability to dance and use it to sharpen my skills. So he started a new job, and I was one of the lads, boots on the ground, and now I'm second to the director of the company, earning the most I've ever earned, which will enable me to give my family a better life than I've ever dreamed possible. And a lot of this is really due to the fact that we teach you how to communicate. Whether that's in a romantic setting or whatever setting, we teach you how to communicate. We teach you how to build deep connections and build deep relationships. That is going to pay dividends in every part of your life, not just your relationship as well. So this is about raising the tides of your whole life, not just your romantic relationship. And to top it all off, we're getting married on, I guess it's July 28th, which is a day before my birthday, Luke. I haven't had any spare time to advance in the program, but I will as soon as the dust settles from work and the wedding planning. Now note here, even when he's reconciled, he's still in the program. He's still doing the program. He still plans on doing the program. This is a lifelong skill that you will never, ever stop. And we made the program so that it's very addictive. It's very fun to grow and become the best version of yourself and become someone irreplaceable. Again, he says maximum effort, zero cost. So here's his image, and look how many likes he has. So this is a very engaged group of people who are winning left and right. So I'm going to show you, and we're going to show you here, the key lessons again that Luke has learned to get to from the beginning to where he is today. If you haven't watched the initial interview with Luke, I would encourage you to do so as well. But this interview should be standalone as well if you want to just watch this one too. Now note here that when we did this interview, Luke, it's about 10 p.m. for Luke, so he was a bit tired. His baby was sleeping, so he might be a bit hush-hush. Don't take that as he's not enthusiastic about his results. Obviously he is, but take that as he's just trying to quiet down so that he doesn't wake his baby, basically. So with that, I won't delay this any longer. Let's get started, guys. Hey everyone, Geoffrey here again, and welcome back to my channel. Again, we have Luke Phillips here for part 2 of the interview. So we did part 1 about a couple months back where we were talking about his journey midway through where he hasn't fully reconciled yet, and things were still in the mix, but he was still working on the program and really mastering all the principles there. And now we'll have a follow up with him. So yeah, I'll just let you fill the audience in on how things were in the beginning for those who haven't watched the first part. So if you haven't watched the first part, I would encourage you to do so. I'm going to put the link below this video right here. But Luke, just fill people in. What happened when you first met me? What made you join the program in the first place? What was the relationship like back then?
So I'll go really the slim version. So it was the 8th of October 2021. We hadn't had sex for about 7 months. So I knew something was off. I tried it on one night and she moved away, and I asked her if she was all right, why she didn't want to. She said just didn't feel like it. So I stayed up and she fell asleep. Rattling through my head, something's up, couldn't sleep. Went to the toilet about 1:30 in the morning, and she'd left her Apple Watch on top of the tank. And first time ever in 7 years of being with her, I felt the urge to have a look. So I did. Mistake number one. Well, I say mistakes. Turned out to be the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah, because like just to fill in, so there's no sex for 7 months. She told you basically she doesn't love you anymore. This was October 8th of 2021, right? Yeah, and then, but before this was a culmination of so many things beforehand, where the no sex for 7 months, and then she pulled away from you every time you try to start a conversation. So the emotional connection was degrading quite a lot in the beginning. And so I think you got insecure here to where you checked the phone and accused her of things that she didn't do. And then when that argument happened, she basically said, you know what, screw this crap. I don't really love you anymore. She took her engagement ring off. You moved out. Was that kind of a accurate?
Yeah, that's the real skinny of it. Yeah. And it was heartbreaking.
So, yeah. So fast forward to now. So obviously we had the midway point in the last conversation, but tell us what things are like now.
Yeah. So I moved back in. She put a ring back on. This is all over time and explained in the previous interview we had. Yeah, so using the mindsets backed by the ID shifting and the frameworks, I campaigned on the sex issue at one point. I think that was mid-January, and yeah, it was met with positivity, the conversation. And I didn't try it on straight away. I let it land and set and land on me as well, because I was quite surprised by how open she was.
But it's crazy because like when you create that level of safety, all the difficult conversations, the sensitive conversations become really easy as well. Yeah. So I think that was it. That was like you create so much safety to where the tough conversations seem very easy, and it kind of takes you back for a bit. Oh, it didn't need to be that tough in the first place.
Part of the visualizing process, I find, is massive, because you almost prepare it to go wrong, the worst way it could go, and then when it goes better, and when it goes much better, it's so much more. Even you need time yourself to let it land and go, shit, did that just happen?
Yeah, so you had the talk about the intimacy or the lack thereof.
Yeah,
was well received, and so I think you wrote to me like, "Hey, we started being intimate again after 10 months of not being intimate." So that's like a massive milestone. Yeah. Yeah.
It was. It wasn't awkward. It was passionate again, and I give you a gentleman never tells, but it was good night. So yeah.
Yeah. So she's telling you she loves you again. And you guys are getting married, right? July 28th, 2022. So in like 5 months-ish.
Oh, don't put a timer on it, Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorted and
Interesting. The date is interesting. It's July 28th because that's my birthday is on July 29th. So,
July.
yeah. And so, yeah, you guys are planning the wedding, and you guys are basically all the layers that we talk about, right? You start with emotional safety and psychological safety. That's obviously built because now you can really talk about the deeper conversations. Then you have the mutual admiration, the goal alignment, and then the passion that's there too. So all 5 pillars are pretty much built. I mean, if this is not reconciliation, go ahead.
I'm not sorry. I'm not even like at those stages in the program yet. So I know I've got so much need to learn about them, but everything's just gone locked in, click.
Yeah, it clicked. Yeah.
It's amazing. But it's a weird feeling because this is how I know I'm untethered as well, because I'm not like I'm cruising it on the sofa, you know. I'm not like doing a massive dance. It's just like it's nice, it's lovely, it's what I wanted, and everything's great. My family's back together. That's key. Like the desired outcome when I joined this program is here. But that hasn't made me want to stop the course. That hasn't made me want to stop learning. You know, I've definitely retrained my dopamine hits to learning this stuff and really want to get on with it and perfect it and make this relationship even better and strive and last for decades, like you say.
Yeah. And I think you brought up a very interesting point, because I think a lot of people listening to this who are still trying to, or in the process of trying to reconcile, they view this reconciliation moment as the finish line, as the end all be all. And they imagine themselves to be like, once I reconcile, I'll just jump up on the sofa, like Tom Cruising it, like you say. But the reality is, if you want to reconcile, you have to make these processes a lifestyle. And part of making it a lifestyle is that, reconcile or not, you're still doing the same things. It's like there's a really good Zen Buddhism quote which says, you know, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It doesn't really change anything you do. So when people reconcile in our program, they don't go like, F yes. They go kind of, cool, this is great, but it doesn't change what I do.
Right.
And ironically, I think if you still are celebrating like, yes, right? It usually means that you don't really enjoy the process yet, to where you're seeing the finish line as an excuse for you to slow down, an excuse for you to stop the processes. And if you're still in that mindset, if you're not still fully untethered yet, ironically, you will never get to that point where you reconcile. That's the ironic part, you know?
And another thing about keeping up with the program and continuing the processes is the maintenance of the relationship. It's not just getting to where you want to be and then, oh, that's it now, because entropy is always against you and it will deteriorate. I mean, if you don't put a fresh coat of paint on the walls every couple of years, then you're going to see the marks and scuffs, and, you know, that's pretty much the same thing. Keeping maintenance relation and everything. So.
Yeah. So I want to jump off of that to the first kind of key takeaway that I want to talk about here, which is that entropy side of things. And, you know, the hard part about entropy, I think, is twofold. So for those of you who are listening, entropy is basically the tendency for things to go into disorder, to chaos. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is this is usually how relationships break down. You come together at first and you're very close, you're very tight. You go into the same direction, you have the same goals, you have the same dreams, you have the same everything. Everything seems to be rosy at that point in time. But then life throws curveballs at you. Life throws challenges. Life throws traumas at you. Life throws difficult milestones and difficult moments in your life. Even something as small as like you getting married, or you moving in together, you having a baby, starting a family, you moving from state to state, country to country, whatever it is. Those create variation. Those create, for lack of a better word, kind of changes in that similarity that you initially had, right? Then what happens is you have these changes, you have these difficulties, you have these events in your life, and you can't really talk about it. So slowly you become more and more and more distant over time. And a lot of people don't really recognize these feedback loops and this entropy really taking effect in their relationship until they're so far apart to the point where they're fighting. They're saying, I don't love you anymore, right? What people don't realize though, is that when they're so far apart like this, they tend to blame character at that point. They say like, maybe we're not a good fit. Maybe we're not meant to be together. Maybe we're not soulmates like we thought we were. But in reality, what happened was the environment changed to both of you very, very slowly. And you didn't have the safety to realign each other along the way. You were just slowly drifting apart. So this is a combination of not enough safety, but also when you are breaking down in your relationship, you are misdiagnosing what the true core root problems are, which is that you don't have emotional safety to keep realigning you guys, right? And I think that's what you're referring to is if you look at, let's say, the breakdown of your relationship, would you say that it followed that same pattern as well, where it's slowly over time, invisibly just degraded over time?
Like, it's like turning a year older. You're not a year older, you're a day older, so you don't really notice. So over the time, things are getting, like you say, very slowly chipping away. And it's normal. It's so close to what it was yesterday that you don't notice until something massive happens, or you notice this massive chasm all of a sudden. And it's almost like how I was, and how I explained it in the video before, because a lot happened, obviously last year in particular. This has been chipping away. She reckoned it was only about, I've been feeling like this for about 6 months. And after I started the program, I was like, I think you may have been feeling like this a bit longer, you know. And we kind of said maybe even 2 years that she started feeling this drift. But maybe subconsciously at first, but still, if you really think back and think about your feelings towards each other, you can go back a couple of years and go, yeah, it was starting to go wrong a couple of years. And I think with having our daughter, like you said, different things happened. So we had our daughter, everything was going well. We did do a lot of things that moved quite quick. Got a house and was going to be married and all this lot. Over a certain amount of years, but big things, you know, the life-changing things, the things that you aim for. So it was nice because we were aiming for those things, but at the same time, drastically changing the format of the relationship. And I think our daughter was the main one that was biggest because, you know, like most, she wasn't planned. And she had a hard time with that at first, you know, and when she found out, she was in tears. I was over the moon, it's all I wanted. So I had to, you know, comfort her and that. But I was great through the pregnancy, and then afterwards, because she was off on maternity, I was working 10-hour days, getting back, and then she literally just shook her at me because she's like, I've had this for 10 hours. You're 10 hours of dealing with drug addicts and stuff at work. And I'm like, come here, you know. And as well, our daughter wasn't wasn't responding to me very well because I wasn't there all day.
Yeah.
So I actually felt, I was looking up a few things about that, maybe postnatal in men, you know, like obviously not the trauma of birth, but the connection issue.
The connection is not there. Yeah.
So, and I felt love for her, but because she was pulling away from me, it was making me like, why didn't she like me? You know, but she's a baby. So, you know, I wish I had this thing because that would help me reinterpret that as well. But yeah, it's, like you say, it slowly chips away until it's almost too late. I think that's the thing. I mean, we touched on this last time as well. I joined this program relatively early. Most people join this when it's like dire. Though my situation to me at the time was like, fuck, you know, this is awful. I need to fix this. I didn't wait.
Yeah. So just for those of you listening, don't wait till things are dire. Like I think so many people, they just go, they want to take their chances, right? It's like, how much can I get away with without investing money, without investing time and resources and energy into actually changing myself? Like, how much can I get away with it? And so they kind of push and test the waters too much, and they go, oh, the answer is, I can't escape this work. And then they realize that a bit too late. Well, not a bit too late, but a bit too mature in the development of the problems and so on, to where it becomes a lot harder to fix the problems once it gets pretty serious like that, right?
Well, you have a leak in the bathroom and you hear it dripping and you're like, it's probably nothing, it's only a drip. Then you start seeing a little watermark in the ceiling. You're like, man, it's only a little blemish. Next thing you know, your feelings come in and your bathtub's on the living room floor, so.
But was there a part of you, Luke, when you were seeing, because you probably felt, like you said, oh, I really only felt this for the last 6 months and you and your partner, but really, if you really look at it, it's like the last 2 years. Was there a part of you that felt or thought, oh, we'll figure something out? Like, we'll work it out. Like, I don't know what it is, but we'll work it out.
I'm quite self-sufficient, as you probably noticed through the program. I like to be self-sufficient anyway, through everything I do. I do all my own work in the house, fitted the kitchen myself and blah, blah, blah. I do everything myself. I'll learn and I'll do it. And if I can't get it, I'll find someone that can help me, And it's the same situation with this. But yeah, I thought I'd be able to find out what the issue was. I thought there'd be a way she'd tell me, or maybe she was going through something that if I just took the load off and did more, all the logical stuff and the lower level stuff that we've talked about before, maybe this will ease her stress and she'll just be all right. Or maybe it's to do with postnatal for her or something. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
Maybe hormones after birth. She also has a thyroid issue, which is actually all right at the minute, but obviously with that fluctuating, that can affect mood and hormones. So, I was trying to not blame all these things, but I was like trying to figure it out that way before I break things down. And and
I think there's also like that level of relying on the hope that things are going to work itself out, right? It could just, whatever we're experiencing could be like a temporary thing, but it'll figure itself out. Like we don't get divorced. We don't get separated. We're going to get married, right? So there's a element of, it'll work itself out eventually as we keep trying. But I think that's an illusion because, if you look at entropy, it doesn't solve itself out. Like things just don't work itself out. If you do not have a solid plan for how to work things out, you better figure out a plan how to work things out, right? And the plan better be good.
If it was maybe something like that, then you have antidepressants or whatever. And I don't like antidepressants. I don't like counsellors. I don't like therapy. I think they talk a lot of shit. And I've always said it. I have a very strong opinion about people trying to tell you like, oh, your mother loved you too much and all that crap. I ain't into that. Again, it's why this kind of works for me. And there might be elements of truth to it, but I think the mind's a strong thing. And I think most of the stuff they say is just like, well, yeah, what's that got to do with this? Most of the time.
Yeah.
I believe more in self-growth. And if you need help with that, which this is, then that's fine. To me, that's the way I'd want to go, which is one of the reasons why this appealed to me. Because it wasn't you just psycho-babbling.
Diagnosing shit, but I'm not really like giving, okay, what do I do next kind of thing. It's like, here's why you're so messed up. Okay, well, fix me then, right?
No, it's like,
yeah. So you mentioned something interesting, which is you mentioned now you feel like you are able to pull all the levers and really control and steer your relationship to where you can maintain it, but also make sure that it doesn't go sideways again, that it keeps growing eventually. Yeah. And I think this is where we talk about systems and principles thinking really comes in deep, right? And the analogy I have on this one is, you're driving a car and the principles and systems behind how to drive a car very well. As you're driving a car, there's other cars in the road. Sometimes they may be cutting you off and doing dangerous maneuvers, but never in your mind do you go, I hope I don't crash today. because you have control of the steering wheel, the gas pedal, the brake pedal. If you're doing manual, you have the gears, right? You know exactly how to control your car. So you don't think every day, I hope it doesn't fall sideways. So you don't rely on hope. And so the systems and principles thinking makes you avoid relying on hope. Tell me what that feels like for you. Tell me like what that experience is like, what that means for you now.
Yeah, I think, so it's weird because every single aspect of everything I do now, I'm constantly thinking of the processes in it. Now, this might sound daft, but like say driving a car, you don't think about the processes you're doing when you're driving or after you've been driving for a long time, because now it's become nature. In a way. Right. But when you were doing your driving lessons, you had to.
Oh, well, sorry guys.
Be told most of us have manuals over
the
stick. Did I go?
Yeah. So yeah, you went for a bit. You mentioned like when you first learn how to drive, you have to really think about what you're doing, and then we lost you there. But keep going from there.
So yeah, so over here we drive mostly manual, stick shift, whatever you want to call it over there. So you have to learn how to do that. Eventually it becomes second nature. So cooking's the same. You know, if you want to learn to cook, then you have to learn what things taste like and what things go together and all that sort of thing. So now it's like everything that I do, I think about the process in it. So if I'm having a conversation with her, I'm thinking about the processes that I've learned in this course. What process next? Like you'll see it in my Facebook post now. I think one of them you were like, I freaking love this post. I love the fact you systems based and first principles thinking is like broken it all down into sections as well. So each part of the conversation, I was highlighting elements of the program in which it related. So frameworks, and then a small little bracket of what frameworks, and then confirmation bias, her bringing up some confirmation bias openly to me and me letting her know, oh, we all have that. Don't worry about that. It's confirmation bias. And I explained it. I mean, she knows I'm doing this course. Some people like to keep it to themselves. I openly spoke to her about this before I bought it.
Signed on. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so the fact that I break down every aspect of my life, of conversations, what processes I need to use, when, where, and being process focused because of it. So it's like that's massive. I think.
Yeah. The way I see it too is like, if you look at a top performer, let's say you watch a basketball player, a golfer, a dancer. I mean, these guys, these performers, they're executing very complex maneuvers sometimes. And if you ask them, like, how did you do it? They'll go, I just do it now. Right. But you could probably break down their complex movement and scientifically break down, like, this is what happens, this is what happens, this is what happens, this is what he was thinking here. And you can really systematically break it down and principally break it down like that. But, and I think in the middle of your journey, you had to do that more. Or you had to like very deliberately break down the steps of what seems like a complex maneuver. So what's like a 5-second thing, you break it down into like a 20-minute analysis. You might have to do that in the beginning, but now it's just you're a performer who just plays because you've mastered the little principles and little processes that makes up a whole execution. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand too is, when you're trying to reconcile, you are becoming a performer. And so if you're relying on tactics, if you're relying on like small tips here and there, it's not going to work very, very well for you. You need to understand the holistic system to allow you to really smoothly just improvise your way and your approach to every conversation, to every interaction. And you cannot do that with tactics, And
then it flows.
It flows.
Yeah. And it's like I've mentioned before, I'm a martial artist and I also teach, and just on the side, and when I first started teaching, I realized how much little things that make a big difference I missed out, because to me, I'll go, right, you do this, whatever, and this is how you throw a punch, and I'll break it down from the feet and the twist of the hips. And then one of the students who's very astute, he goes, you moved your foot out a little bit there. So he's actually really taking it in, everything I'm doing. And I'm like, oh yeah, that opens up the hips.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize I was even doing that. Yeah. And it's kind of my experience too with the program, right? Version 1 was me doing that. It was me like, okay, I think this is everything people need to know. And then people started taking the program and then they go, wait, there's a bunch of stuff missing here. Like, hey, okay, yeah, you're right. There is this gap. There is this thing that is between A and C, there's B. I forgot about that. So let me put it into V2. And then V3 is like, oh, there's still more missing. Between A and B, there's AB. You know?
And that's the thing about the program, the fact. So if you have a boss that's willing to get his hands dirty with you, I think always makes a better boss. And you practice what you preach. And you, although we're not seeing that from you, you're not posting about your relationship and what you go through and what you're doing. You mention it in the program, sure. But I see it in your iteration of your program. When people ask questions, they're not just learning from you, you're learning from them in the sense of, right, so how many people ask this question? Okay, that's something that needs to be maybe addressed in the program. So that's your iteration then.
Always getting better too. Yeah. Fighting entropy again. Yeah.
It's bad. I don't know if it's just because I got halfway through version 2 and then I revisited it and thought, right, let's go from the start. And I don't know if it's because I already have a nice base of understanding from version 2, but version 3 is just flows. It's just like, oh, this is so much.
Yeah. We spent
my mental maps are like,
yeah.
You know,
we spent like 8 months crafting the first half of that alone. So glad it's going somewhere. Like, yeah. So second point I want to make here is about, we talk about the notion of breaking feedback loops in our relationships. And so just to level set everyone who's watching this as well, feedback loops exist in your relationship, whether you realize it or not, 24/7, every single day, every single moment, right? If you are watching this video, most likely the feedback loops have been going in a very negative direction. So where your partner does something that you may not be happy with, and you respond badly to that, and how you respond to that affects what your partner does, right? In this case, in a negative way too. But you have an option to respond to her negative behavior in a positive way, in a healthier way. And when you do that, it changes her behavior as well. So what you do, like the whole point about feedback loops is that what you do affects your partner in a massive way. So I always get people like asking me, for example, well, Jeff, you realize that you can't change people, right? You can't change your partner. You can't control your partner. No, you cannot control your partner, but you can definitely change your partner's behavior and thinking and mood and emotions by changing how you think, what you do, and so on. You can definitely have a massive impact on that. And I think that's what people don't understand about feedback loops, is how much power you have to influence your partner's behavior as well. And the proof in the pudding is that right now, your behavior and what you do is causing her to want to get the hell out of the relationship, right? So tell me this realization you had about feedback loops, and I'm sure, right? You had a lot of realizations around like how powerful you actually are in influencing the whole relationship as a whole in the direction that it goes to, even though she's someone that's supposedly outside your control.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so it's a bit of a long one. So the thing about breaking feedback loops is there are so many elements to it that will make it work. But it's actually really simple to do once you learn how to do it. So real basic version is Batari's box, which is what we learn in security, which is my attitude.
How do you say it again?
Batari's
box? Okay. Yeah. I'm going to look that up, but yeah, okay. Tell me.
In security, you learn, and in the police, it's just a circular diagram, which is my attitude affects my behavior, which affects your attitude, which affects your behavior. And then that affects my attitude. And it's just a cycle like that. It's a very basic version of what you teach in that sense of feedback loops. And it involves systems-based first principles thinking. It involves FAE, which is the fundamental avoiding FAE, fundamental attribution error, blaming character. It involves the frameworks, involves being poised, untethered, mind shifts, but as soon as you start cracking all these little eggs, you realize how easy it is to do it, especially if you're starting off and going, right, my mind's in a good place, so I'm not going to get affected by you being shitty, and then not blaming her character when she's shitty and going, okay, what's going on here? And then using the framework while being poised and untethered to find out why. And then once you find out why, then you dig deeper and deeper with 3-4 looping. And if you can offer a 5, then you offer a 5. If not, then you don't.
Yeah.
Say that's a win in itself. Just not surviving in not reacting, but as in like, that's a natural thing now to literally catch yourself if you are about to go, and then just go, hang on, what? Ask yourself.
I think what you're saying, I think what you're saying is here's like, let's say your partner does something, and what she does creates this reflexive action from your side. That reflexiveness, to change that reflexiveness requires so many layers of change, right? Because to be able to break the feedback loop to where now your partner's doing something negative, you do something negative back reflexively. If you want to change that reflexiveness, you have to be untethered first. And to be untethered, there's a lot of layers to be untethered. They need to be bulletproof. Then you have to understand the frameworks. And under each of those, you have so many different layers of identity shifting, of self-esteem building. And basically you're, again, reminding us of the importance of the performance mindset again, of, yes, your reaction might be a split-second reaction, but behind that split-second reaction is months and months of work, of multiple layers of changes, etc. So again, you look at a basketball player making a clutch play for like 1 second. He sinks a shot, last second shot that wins him the game. But behind that 1 second is months and months and months and layers and layers and layers of mastery there, right? That's what it means to truly be a performer. So to break that feedback loop, that's what it happens.
And that's why there's no magic wand. There's no script you can give that work. It has to be from you, and you have to deliver it perfectly, and have no bad microtones or micro expressions that gives the game away. I was quite fortunate.
Little baby. I'm guessing that's also why you're trying to be a bit quieter in this interview, because the baby's sleeping too. Sorry guys for the intermission there. So Luke's baby is a bit ill right now, a bit of a temperature, a fever. So he had to take care of the baby a little bit, but we're back again. But again, we're talking about this notion of being a performer, and how behind a split-second action or decision or thing that you do lies months and months of work, and really a lot of layers of mastery to where you can now be smooth and flow really smoothly alongside it as well. Where you also said that, if you really want to improve your relationship and really save your marriage, you have to make sure that the changes permeate to your micro expressions, your microtones. You can't fake any of the things you're saying. You can't fake any of the things you're doing. That split-second execution needs to, even like with the slightest twitch of your eye, has to be very, very genuine and very, very real. And I think that's where we left off. So,
yeah, because I was quite fortunate, and I was talking about micro expressions and microtones and stuff with her months ago, about 3 months ago when I was first started in the course, and she actually gave me 2 of my tells without me asking. So one is when I'm a bit nervous about what I'm saying, I do this with my hands. And when I don't like something, I do like a little Elvis thing with my lip. And she's like, she knows if she's asking me something and I'm not keen, I'll go, It's so hard.
What's funny is like people listening to this, right? They like, let's say you point out to someone, oh, whenever you're nervous, you do this. What people do is they say, okay, then I'll stop doing that. Right. But the funny thing is when you try to stop to do that in a moment, then that adds a new layer of fakeness and awkwardness, right? Now you're trying to stop yourself doing that. So the only way to stop and influence your microtones and micro expressions here is really to make those deep internal changes that takes months to really program. And I think the programming is hard because, and the reason why the program is so long, and my biggest challenge as a coach is to show people the subconscious tics, the subconscious things that they do, the tone, the micro expressions, the subconscious thoughts that they don't even know they have often, but they have it. So I'm trying to point all that out to you through the program, bring it to your awareness, shift it, and then program the new actions into that. And there's so many paradoxes, there's so many, hidden mistakes that people make that is so hard to pinpoint. And I think that's the hard part that people are not often ready for. It's like, oh, this takes 3 to 6 months to really get your deep changes. And they're like, It's like, I don't want that. It's like, well, if you don't want that, then you don't really understand how to actually reconcile, how to actually change yourself. I don't think you understand what that means, really.
You got to really want it, and open to it. And it's not reprogramming in the sense that you become a robot and you're turning people into like this. I have changed, but I don't feel different. It's not like, and it's a change that's been noticed as well by other people. Like one of my supervisors who I'm quite close with, we do have he knows I'll do as I'm told sort of thing. I know he's my boss at work, but we get on really well. And he turned around to me and went, I have noticed a change. And I went, oh, really? And he went, yeah, it's a good change. I'm taking a bit more time before I speak. I'm quite the jester at work in the sense I like to take the piss out of people and push people's buttons in a jovial way, and everyone gets that. But I think sometimes I forget myself, and I sometimes do upset people a little bit, even though they know what I'm like, is what they say. Yeah. Oh, no, it's only Luke, But I've noticed that I can take a backseat from that now and actually think about it a little bit more. It's only a small thing out of this, but yeah, it's been noticed by my boss as well. So that's cool.
Which brings me to my third point of, I want to address this whole concept that people often talk about, which is, Jeff, it's impossible that your program teaches you how to conduct every single relationship everywhere. Like my situation is still a bit more unique, right? It's a bit different, but I think that's what people don't understand is, like you mentioned, we're not teaching you what to do necessarily. We're not teaching you how to become or what to be. Like you have to talk a certain way. You have to react a certain way. We're teaching you the principles by which you can guide your untethering, your bulletproof vest, how you manage your emotions, how you observe your thoughts, the framework, the skeleton by which you conduct conversations. And you are free to use those principles to add your own flavor into it, right? So for example, we talk about the antithetic mind. That's a principle. Now, using the antithetic mind, which is when you are exploring things outside of yourself, when you're exploring things you don't know, when you're basically opening up your mind and your bodies to really learning to like whatever it is you want to like, learning to become as introverted, as extroverted as you want to be. You become more like water where you can play whatever character you need to get the outcome that you want. Now, when we talk about the antithetic mind, you're free to be as antithetic as in whatever ways you want. But it still doesn't change the fact that you still need to be antithetic. You still need to be like water. But once you become like water, mold yourself to whatever you want, right? You learn the frameworks, speak however you want, but stick with the frameworks.
Yeah.
Learn how to be bulletproof. Manage your emotions, whatever emotions that you need to manage, but do that. Create emotional safety, right? But once you create emotional safety, use that to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Doesn't really matter. So that's why we say no situation is really unique, because everything that we talk about, untethering, bulletproof vest, frameworks, emotional safety, is all fundamental human needs and that's required in human interactions in general,
Absolutely. It's the campaigning for me, especially with a clear mind through sort of untethering and learning about the layers. Frameworks has been amazing. Like,
tell me more about that. So frameworks, right?
I'm just absolutely
at first. You go ahead. Yeah, because like I imagine your frameworks have evolved quite a bit, because at first you were using the frameworks to create safety. Then you created safety, and then you were using the same frameworks to talk about sexual issues. Then you were in the same frameworks to align on goals, and now you're using the same frameworks to plan your wedding. And you're using the same frameworks to probably use it at work and talk to your colleagues, talk to clients, whatever it is. So you're just using the same frameworks, the same 7 frameworks, and you're just adapting it to every single scenario.
Yeah, it's and it doesn't. I think people put a bit too much pressure on themselves with it. I did, because you learn the new, so it's a bit uneasy because it's something different, you know, and you think you're going to do that right, and then you're overthinking it when you're trying to do it, which is, again, why visualization is key, because you kind of get over the first hurdle, and then obviously in person it's a bit different. But first using the frameworks was for me finding out as much as possible of what she didn't like about me anymore. She said to me at one point, it's not that I don't love you, so I don't like who you are at the minute. And it's like, okay, I need to find out what she doesn't like then. Or explain it. Maybe some of it was misunderstanding. In fact, I think a lot of it was misunderstandings on both our parts. Like my understanding my intentions of why I do certain things a certain way. She thought it was for myself. I explained that I was doing it kind of in my mind for my family. Like I did the patio, and she thought I was out there just having fun, doing what I wanted to do. That's how she put it. You're out in the garden doing what you want. And it's like, I'm building the patio so we as a family have a nice place, an area to sit, have dinner outside. You know, anyway, so it's been finding out everything. And then it's also been fixing everything. And like you say, and then as soon as you become fearless with it, you can bring up anything. Like I even hedged with her that the conversation about the sex, this is probably going to be an awkward conversation.
Yeah. So those of you who are listening, hedging is one of the frameworks we use to basically soften the conversation a bit and access insurance. Yeah, to just soften the conversation a bit, especially when you're talking about difficult conversations. So anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So like you say, it just cushions that instead of going straight in. And I find it helps with every conversation, even if it's a little one. It's just a really nice entry point. No matter what step you're going to step into. And I think that's the point I'm also trying to make here. I think is also, you talk about being a fearless campaigner and how important that was for you. And I think a lot of people are stuck asking the wrong questions, right? They're stuck asking the question of like, should I do no contact? Should I do contact? Should I do smart contact? Should I bring this up? Should I not bring this up? You know, should I touch her? Should I not touch her? And I think the thing that people are missing here is that you will never find the right answers if you ask those questions, because the question is never in the what, it's in the how, right? If you don't know how to appear genuine, if you don't know how to create emotional safety, if you don't know how to be bulletproof, if you don't know how to be untethered, you don't know how the human emotions work when it comes to relationships, all these layers, it doesn't matter if you do no contact, if you bring it up or you don't bring it up, you do smart contact, it doesn't work. Nothing you do will work. The what doesn't work. If you have the wrong how, no matter what you do, you will fail. But if you have the right how, no matter what you do, you will succeed. That's the thing, right? And so once you understand the principles behind the frameworks, you are legit fearless, because you realize that I can bring up wherever the fuck I want, because I can frame it, I can position it, I can drive it in a way where it will lead to a successful conversation 100% of the time. Yeah. And the funny thing is as well, so after a while, and I said this in the last minute, that the things you start to do, she starts to reflect. So like little things like thanking her for sharing, you know, whether it be a tough trip or whatever. She starts thanking me for saying something doing something. And that's nice to have that appreciation, admiration coming in. And then we were talking about things that we had to do around the house. It was a very general conversation, and then she brought up, because we've still got to talk about the wedding. So I was like, okay, let's do that now. So
yeah. So it's funny because that goes back to the conversation of feedback loops, which is, again, this is a perfect example of, as you start to change the way you act, change the way you behave, change the way you think. I mean, your partner's not dumb, right? She will look at that and start to assimilate a lot of the positive behaviors as well. And you suddenly find that this person who you thought was very toxic, this person who you thought was non-committal, unable to communicate, suddenly becomes very committal, suddenly becomes very positive, suddenly becomes very good at communication. And all this change in your partner started with you making your own change. And I think that's, again, closing this off, the chapter on feedback loop, right? A lot of people never realize this. And a lot of people never realize the potential of their partner because they just don't know how to be a leader, I think, in terms of leading the change.
If they've got their wall up so high and then you bring it down with creating emotional safety or chip away at it or however you want to put it, if you start bringing that defensive wall down, my missus has always been kind of closed off to her emotions. And her family's like it with her. Her mum and dad will like it a bit, so she kind of has that. She's mentioned that, and she wants to break that within our daughter. She doesn't want that cycle to continue within our daughter. So we're having a different approach to how we raise our daughter, which, oddly enough, a lot of it aligns with this. But as soon as you start breaking that wall down, then, like you say, she starts, instead of being defensive and being negative with the defense, then she starts being softer as well and more positive as well. And like you say, it all ties in. It all ties into that loop. It's a beautiful thing because it's you're following the processes at first, kind of blindly. You're like, okay, I've got to do this, so I'll do this. And then when you start seeing it work, you're like, oh shit, it works. And then you get, then you just start doing and start being, and it's like, okay, this is it now. Let's go.
I think that's it. And I think the point to make too is that these changes in the feedback loop doesn't happen overnight. And we also mentioned this importance of the planting seeds and really adopting what we call a farmer's mindset. And I think what a lot of people forget too is that, I work with people who are in marriages, who are in long-term relationships. So, working with people who have been together 10, 15, 20 years is not unusual for me. And for these people, you have to realize that you've been planting seeds in a very negative way. And you've been doing things in a very negative way. And often, again, the most dangerous part is that they don't even realize what they're doing is negative. It's a blind spot. It's a hidden mistake that they're making. If you cannot spend 3 to 6 months to really work on yourself and really give that relationship time to heal, if you think 3 to 6 months is a long time, then you are not cut out for reconciliation. You are not ready for reconciliation because I don't think you understand just how much damage has been caused there.
Just spent years damage, so you might as well spend 6 months to 12 to fixing it.
Yeah. And I think also, we have to give our partners enough time to really notice and feel our changes too. Like I always say, within a couple of weeks of joining the program, pretty much 100% of our clients have their partners saying, I see you're trying to change and I see that you have changed. But seeing that you have changed versus feeling that you have changed is two completely different things. To make your partner feel your changes, you have to be so consistent over such a long period of time. And she has to test you a bit. She has to resist you and see how do you react when I resist you? How do you react when things are tough? Do you go back to your old self or do you keep being your new self? Tell me your experience on going through that planting seeds and that farmer's mindset and going through that dip of what we call the paradox of change, where she's really resisting you really hard in the short term just to really see if your changes are real or not. Did you face that? And how did it manifest in your own relationship?
I think that dip was really shallow for me, to be honest. It wasn't much of a plunge as some might experience. I think that boils down to the fact that she said she was willing to work at it. And she said that in the initial argument, because it did cool down at some points and we did actually get some reasonable conversation in there. But there was a point where she said to me, I think it was a couple of days after I moved to my mum's, and she said, I don't want to string you along. And that
I don't want to give you any hope. Don't have any hope for this relationship, okay? Yeah.
That to me said a million things. But I just calmly said at the time, that's fine. You're not stringing me along. It's not like I got anything else on at the minute, sort of thing. Just let me do this course and you can make your own mind up, sort of thing. So
yeah.
Approach that initial sort of, I don't know, doubt or edging her bets. I don't know how she was thinking about that at the time. Never campaigned on it because it was early on before I knew about that sort of thing. Just let that one lie. But I still felt, looking back, I dealt with it quite well. I was calm, I was poised. I didn't go, what do you mean string me along? You're telling me you don't want to, nothing like that. It didn't even enter my head. It was just like, you're not stringing me along. Okay. It's worth working at you if you want to work at it, and if you're willing to give me time to see if this will pan out.
Yeah. But I think I also want to, debunk some of the common misconceptions people have about this so we always say, when you're talking about planting seeds and really reconciling with the farmer's mindset, we're saying, yes, grow yourself internally, massively. But a lot of people think, okay, if I grow myself internally, then is my partner, am I just supposed to just wait and see until my partner sees my changes and then hope she sees it? What am I supposed to do? Well, the internal shifts then leads to the external shifts where we're learning the frameworks. And once you learn the frameworks, you realize that you're drowning in opportunities to actually plant seeds and really show your partner your new self, etc. You're drowning in it. There's so many opportunities, but a lot of people don't see it. A lot of people are stuck in this paradigm of smart contact or not, whatever it is. They don't understand how to become a fearless campaigner. And they don't understand that when you understand the frameworks, you can literally bring up anything you want.
Yeah. I think one of the times I experienced resistance from her, and this is before I learned about FAE really. So, but again, luckily I didn't fall into that trap, but she got into bed one night and she was just really pissed. But I don't know what about.
Yeah. And FYI guys, FAE is fundamental attribution error, which is our tendency to blame character rather than blame environments for people's behavior. But when we look at our own behavior, we always blame environments, So a great example of this is you're driving, right? If someone cuts you off, they're an asshole. But if you cut someone off, it's because maybe you're in a rush, right? It's not because you're an asshole. And you can apply this to so many principles in a relationship to concept of stonewalling, concept of gaslighting even, concept of even lying, right? If other people lie, they're an asshole. But if you lie, it's I have some good reasons behind it. Yeah.
Her toxic face was passive. It was stonewalling. That's her thing. If she is pissed off, she will just clamor and not give me time of day. And I'm more in person kind of go, is everything all right? Is everything all right? Until she gets so pissed, it becomes active and she tells me to fuck up, So, so this time I'd not long learned the 4-part script, how to retreat and plant seeds. So I tried opening up with the 5-step blueprint first. I noticed you seem a bit pissed off. Is there anything you want to talk about? Blah, blah, blah. No, fine. Okay. This was using the color system as well, and she wouldn't.
Yeah.
she said she would, and then like she was pissed off, so she's not playing the game. So I acknowledged it like straight away, and I can't remember, it was months ago now. It was right at the start, but I made a post about it. I could look that up, but either way. So anyway, I acknowledged and I explained, you know, where I was at with her being like that, and if she wants to talk, I'm here. And if not, that's fine, but I'll leave it to it. And I gave her a kiss and I on the head, and then I just turned back and left her to it. And the next day or two, she was just fucking lovely to me.
Yeah.
And that's, like you say, that farmer's mindset of, like, if you're planting a seed, which I was doing, I got my point across in that 4-part script, but I didn't push her for anything more. I just acknowledged that she was a bit annoyed, and obviously she doesn't want to talk about it right now, and that's fine. You know, it'd be nice if she did want to talk to me. I'm here if she does want to talk to me. You know,
yeah.
And yeah, like I say, I went to bed that night and went to sleep. And I think it was about 2 days later, she just like really, really nice to me. I'm sorry about the other night. You know, I was just a bit pissed off with my boss. You know.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a really good point, because a lot of people think it is black and white view. So if I say, for example, yes, you can control your partner's behaviors, you can have influence your partner's behaviors, they're thinking, well, that means that my words should influence her immediately. It's like, that's not also, the other extreme is also not true. What we're saying is the middle ground where, yes, we're planting seeds, but it's up to our partner to really take the seeds, to really nurture it, to really grow it. And if they're not ready to grow it and nurture the seeds that you gave, just keep planting seeds. Eventually, some of those seeds will grow, will cultivate, will germinate. And if you plant enough seeds, something will germinate.
Yeah, right. Like I said in the program, if you're sitting there, if you literally plant a seed in a pot and you water it, and then you just sit and stare at it, you're never going to see the growth. It's going to seem like an eternity.
Yeah.
If you leave it for 3 or 4 days, come back to it, and you got a little green shoe all of a sudden. So it's a couple of days, or, you know, it's not immediate. And I think that's why the technology fits so well, you know, farmers' mindset.
Planting a seed, yeah. But I think that a lot of people can't do that, right? A lot of people don't have the patience to do that because they're still very tethered. They're still very much operating from a hunter's mindset, to where if they're not seeing the immediate gratification, they panic, they slow down, and they get demotivated. They, you know, it's like some people, it's like, even sometimes watching my YouTube videos, right? I get some comments sometimes of people going, I watched your video, I tried this, it didn't work. I'm like, what, are you joking? Like, are you joking? You know, that's your mindset. Like, you want something, you just say something, and your partner just magically goes like, oh, okay, let me come back to you then. Like, what, are you kidding? Right?
A 20-minute video, a 20-minute snippet.
Snippet, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I've said before, I watched about 8 hours worth of videos on that first day after our argument, after I stumbled across you, and I was like, oh, this guy gets it. So I was watching loads, and I implemented very, very basic stuff I picked up from it. Just being open-minded, asking open-ended questions that weren't leading questions, just simple things that you stated in the YouTube videos. And they had great effect for me, I think, because I didn't try to push on it. I just looked at that little snippet and went, okay, let's just try that little thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started already making change, or at least finding out things. You know, when I joined the program, I remember writing my essay so people knew where I was.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But tell me, so I guess like we're about an hour in now. So I want to talk about a bit more about your experience in the program, because you said you spent 8 hours watching my YouTube videos before you came in, and then you joined the program. What were your expectations like when you first joined the program? Like, what were you thinking the program would be like? Tell me your initial expectations of what you were expecting when you first joined.
I think naturally I was a bit dubious at first. You know, I was like, so obviously I watched a load of your videos, and then you promote your 5-step masterclass, and I was like, okay, that's free. I'll give that a go. So, you know, what was it? An hour and a half, I think. So I sat there and watched that. She was impressed with me already because she knows I'm not the type to do
watch that kind of stuff.
So I watched that and I was taking notes, and then I was really thinking hard about whether I take it. I took the whole, you know, you give the 5 days to apply for a discounted price, and I was like, do I know? I'm gonna really think on this. And I spoke to my mother about it, who's a very skeptical lady. How do you know you're not just going to give this man your money and then that's it? I think part of it that really encouraged me was the fact that you're selective and you do an interview before you say yes. So it's not like, here's my money, and you go, thank you very much.
That's what pisses me off sometimes with like certain applications. It's like a lot of people don't understand that we literally take less than 10% of applicants, right? And so when I say in the masterclass, I'm like, make sure you pay attention to the application process, right? Make sure you're thorough. Like, treat this as if you're applying for your job or like a university that you really want to go into. Then sometimes we get some surveys from people who are just like one word here. You know, it's like, then we give them some homework. Hey, before your call, do this, watch these videos first. They don't watch it. I'm like, let's stop wasting time then. You know, it's like, if you are not willing to do a couple of hours of work, like this one guy, okay, I told him like, hey, did you actually watch the videos that we sent you told you to watch before your call? And he goes, no, man, like that was like a 30-minute video. I don't have time for that. And then I told him this. So, okay, so you are not getting into this program, okay? But let me ask you something. Imagine you telling your wife, wifey, I could not save my marriage. I could not make the changes that I needed to because I refused to watch a 30-minute video of the program that is going to change my life. AKA, this relationship, this marriage is not worth 30 minutes of my time. How silly does that sound? So for people watching this, when you apply to something, pay attention. Give it all you got, right? Show your partner, show yourself that you actually mean when you say like, I'm going to work on my relationship and I'm going to do this, you know?
Yeah. I think, you know, that's the thing. Like when I knew I was going to be interviewed, I was like, okay, right. Notes again, you know. I did it to this one, you know. I took a few notes just on some basic things that I wanted to talk about, just so I don't drift off too far, because I do have a tendency to rabbit on, you know. So I was like, lock it in and not waste any time, because I know time's precious. But yeah, be prepared and like I say, get on with it quick if you're going to do it. But
yeah, don't wait till things are dire. But initially, you thought I was going to be a scam and everything, but then you thought, okay, this guy actually interviews people. He doesn't just take the money from people who have money. I've seen the YouTube videos. Yeah, Googled me as well. You probably check out my YouTube videos quite a lot, as you said. So when you joined the program, you already knew me quite a bit. When you joined the program, okay, and you saw what the content was like, you saw how the program was structured, you saw just how deep everything goes. What do you think at first?
Well, like you say, see the length of some of the videos and you're like, okay. But
so suddenly, like, you went from, is this a scam, to fuck this is not a scam.
This is deep.
Am I a scam?
Yeah. The thing is, right, it's like these interviews. Okay, so not big fan of being in front of the camera or anything like that. Have no aspirations to be a film star or anything, or, you know, don't like being out there.
Yeah.
But, even though I paid for the course, I feel like I owe you this much, at least. You know what I mean? To have these conversations and show people out there that this does work. This isn't some bullshit. So, yeah, it's It was when I first started. I looked at the length of the videos, the list of videos. I didn't look at them all. I just, like, that's quite deep. And most of it's in the first book. So once you get through that first book, which is the serious shit of changing your mindset mostly, and the identity shifting, because it needs to be that deep. You can't just skim over that and go, okay, well, like you said, do not skip steps. It will fuck you up, and you'll be restarting, and you've just wasted fucking 3 months of learning something that isn't backed up by anything. It's like building a house with no foundation. It's just going to crumble. So, but I think because I've made my mind up that this is what I want to do. Before I invested, I was like, this is what I want to do. So yes, I'm going to go for it. So I'm quite strong-minded. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll fucking do it. And so yeah, it didn't bother me greatly. I was just like, wow, this is some content. This is, and then to find out, like, I didn't think at first the Facebook group was going to be as big a help as it is. Like, the richness you can get from other people's aspects of looking at it, you know?
Yeah. Why do you think it was so, like, what made you think at first to not engage in the Facebook group? Because like a lot of people, when they join, they're like, I'll do this myself. I'll be in my bubble, so to speak. What were your thought process of like, what it could be?
I'm a pretty shameless guy, to be honest. I don't fear being open to anyone, even people I've just met. If we get on to a deep conversation, I'm just there. I'm like, here's me. You know? I don't really care about that. But I think for me, it was learning the best way to post. That's going to sound weird to people that have not an idea, but a lot of my posts, my early posts, I was getting replies by you and Jason in particular. Dude, this is great, but it's outcome based. I was getting a lot of outcome based referrals to my posts, and I look back now and I'm like, yeah, man, none of that was process. You know, and if I did mention a process, it was like a sentence of process, and then like a paragraph.
Mountain of,
wasted fucking profit.
Words. Yeah. So I think it was just getting to know, because in our program, we have very strict rules, and, you know, I hate to say it, but we're almost kind of like a cult of men who's like thinking and acting and doing things very differently than how most people do things. And I think when people join the program, they have to learn the culture, they have to learn the mindsets. That is very crucial to their success. But I think the initial hesitation for you was, I got to know the culture first. And then I think once you know the culture, you realize, oh, once I know how to fit into this culture, it's unstoppable. Like, this culture is so valuable at that point.
Understanding the system-based thinking, first-person thinking was also key. It was kind of played on itself. So as I started writing posts out in a systematic way, especially when you release V3 and you like say to people, right, I want you to put where you are in the program, so no one's giving advice ahead of your game. Also, a process of what you're trying to do, achieve, or what you've had a win with. And then that helped me then break down the post itself. Then that helped me learn to think system-based and first principles, as well as...
Yeah, it forces you to do that, right? So...
Yeah, so that's really up my mind, and that was a really nice... I don't know if that was your intention. It probably was.
That was. And we're always thinking about like, how are people taking the program, and then what are the unintended consequences, I guess, of whatever system you put in place. And I think that was the perfect way to, it's an easy thing that you can do, but also it forces you to focus your post on something, rather than just like making a diary or like a journal, you know. It's like, stop that.
Like, you see, you still get it. You still get the posts that are like no spaces in paragraphs or anything. It's just like, they put full stops, but it's a block of writing, and I can't do that. I'm not going to sit and read that, I'm afraid. But please structure it better so I can just like bullet point it or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's them. That might be their way. I don't know. I'm not ripping anyone for it, but for me to read something, I want it to be easy to read. I want it to be broken down. I want to know exactly what it is. Now, that's what I mean.
Do you think you've made? Yeah. Do you think you've made some lifelong friends from the group too, where like you saw those people as like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I was a bit reluctant at first to accept any friends requests because I was like, I'll help you in the program, but are you trying to be my friend or what? And I ended up adding a few people now, and I've had a few messenger messages of people either struggling or wanting to think about something different, and the odd ones come across a bit like showing signs of victim mindset or outcome focus. So I just literally, it's what I put on the group. I just literally put like, dude, this is reeking of victim mindset. You need to revisit this, or go to this.
You're kind of like mentoring other people too right now, which is awesome. Yeah.
I try not to make a big show of it or anything. It's nice, people, especially when people actually do it. And then you start seeing little results, even if it's within themselves, not necessarily within their relationship. You start seeing a result of their thinking differently, or and again,
awesome.
I'm not going to try and give someone the ultimate answer, because the ultimate answer is do the fucking work. So that's the answer. I'm sorry. If you're looking for a shortcut from me, you're not going to find one, just because And
I think that's it. Yeah. So I'm going to close off with this, because this is a really good thing to close off on. I think for people to really grow in this irreplaceable way like this, and for people to take the action and do the work, like you say, to do this, you kind of need to fall down on your own first. So for example, like I tell people all the time, do the work. You cannot escape this work. And people know that logically, but emotionally, a lot of people listening to this, they would go, no, I'm still going to take my chances here. And then until you realize that the same mistakes keep perpetuating over and over again in your life, until eventually you get this massive slap in the face that makes you wake up and go, oh, I see the importance of actually doing the work now, right? And sometimes like when people haven't gotten that slap in the face, you can tell them, do the work, but they'll never do the work because they haven't felt the pain of what it's like not to do the work, right? So guys, if you're in a position where you are ready to actually do the work, I would encourage you to join me in my free masterclass. Again, it's an hour and a half long, like Luke is saying. It will teach you everything we discuss in the program. Like it will teach you the system of everything we discuss in the program. And if you're interested, you can submit your application again for the program. Again, pay attention to the application process. We only take in less than 10% of applicants. And we're serious on that. And we turn down applicants. I don't care how much money you have. If you have a bad application, out. So make sure you pay attention to this application, and you have a call with a member of my team to see if you get in or not. And if you get in, let's get to work, right? So you can find the link to that masterclass and the application process down below this video. But Luke, any final pieces of advice that you can give people here who are on the brink of a divorce, brink of separation, whatever, they're in dire states?
I think the biggest advice is don't wait until it's fucking too late. If you smell, someone actually put this in the last interview, they put, if you smell blood in the water, get fucking on it now.
Yeah.
Not in exact words, but
we get the point. Yeah. That's awesome.
Because, one thing to take away is I jumped on this fairly early in comparison to some of the other guys, and the other guys are getting results as well. And you've got success stories, massive list of success stories that were in worse situations than I am. So I'm not just one of the few, he got on it early. It'll just help. it's another help is getting on it as soon as you think something's up,
Yeah.
Don't wait till it's too late. And if you do feel it's too late, it's never too late either. So, it's one of them.
Yeah. And I think that's, yeah, a lot of people don't understand that too. Like the number of people we enroll every single year and how people, we enroll like 1,500 people every single year. And pretty much 100% of those people, they wait till things are very dire. And so when people say like, oh, other people's cases are fine, but mine is a lost cause. It's like, I don't think so. But if you think so, it's like, whatever. If you want to use that as an excuse for you to escape the work, you go do that. That's totally fine by me. But eventually you're going to get a massive slap in the face to where you're going to wake up and go, well, I can't escape the work no matter what happens anyway. So, yeah.
And even if you massively fuck up your relationship, I mean, this will still pay off in the next one.
Yeah.
Workplace,
But day to day, it's like
mistakes. So
yeah, you're going to make the same mistakes again and get the massive slap in the face again until you realize I got to become irreplaceable. And the funny thing is that when you become irreplaceable, that's when you realize I'm getting the outcomes now. Right. So with that, I think that's it, guys. I don't want to make this too long, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I hope you guys enjoyed some learnings and some, very honest look into what the process of reconciliation looks like. I hope you saw from Luke here what it was like in the middle of it, and how even in the middle of it, before he got to his outcome, he was still very process focused, very process oriented. And even after he got to his outcome, he's still very process oriented as well. He's still doing the same things he did when he was still trying to build his relationship. And that's what it means to make it a lifestyle. So Luke, congrats on making this a lifestyle. I cannot wait for you to keep inspiring and being a mentor to all our clients as well. But yeah, thanks for doing this again.
That's all right. No problem.
All right. I know it's late for you right now, so I'll leave you to it.
It's 10 past 10.
Yeah, it's late. All right. I'll leave you to it. But yeah, thanks, guys. Cheers. Signing out.